right, welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us here on Morning Live on this Monday morning. Now, in recent months, we've seen the reputations of public relations firms come into the spotlight, especially in regards to the Bell Pottinger in their role in stirring up tensions in South Africa. Well, ahead of its 30th conference in Botswana, the African Public Relations Association, APRA, has asked members of the public to conduct their survey on ethics and reputation spanning the entire African continent. But to tell us more about the survey, we now joined from our studios in Parliament by Regine Le Roux, who is the Managing Director and Reputation Matters at the PR firm in South Africa. And of course, that PR firm has actually partnered with APRA to conduct the survey. Regine, thank you so much for coming through. Good morning to you.
Morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much indeed. Let's just first get your overall, impression and observation on how public relation has actually come to play in terms of crisis management, if one may say.
So public relations and communication management has been playing a massive role in all the industries, and that's also part of the reason why we need to start looking at the ethics, the reputation, because public relations is such an important component when it comes to building the reputation of an organization, but also of itself as an industry. What is it there, where are we placed as an industry when it comes to public relations and taking that responsibility of ethically communicating the right communication to the right people?
Yeah, and I must say I'm a public relations practitioner in profession as well, and I participate in some of the groups, of course, that talks to public relations. And there was an argument recently when everything just outplayed this Bell Pottinger, what happened with Enterprise Foods and Listerious at home. And some people are of the view that it looks like public relation has actually been reduced to just spin doctoring. What's your take on that?
It's such a pity that is what is said, and I think that's also a very big opportunity for the public relations industry to take back that space in terms of taking back the narrative when it comes to reputation management. And a very important component of that is to do research and to be proactive when it comes to crisis communication, to know what's happening in the industry. And you can actually only do that when you do comprehensive research, which again then links to what you were saying earlier, the research that we're conducting for the APRA coming up later this year.
Yeah, talk to us more about that research, really. Why has APRA asked the public to actually participate in this survey?
It's actually an incredibly exciting survey that we are conducting, where we are looking at what is ethics, does reputation actually still matter, and having a look at what does it mean on the African continent specifically, and taking it back to basics of actually looking at how can we determine our own narrative as on the African continent instead of letting others determine that message for us. So what we're doing is we're looking at what ethics and reputation management means on 3 different levels. We're looking at an individual level, so what does that mean to me as an individual, on a company level, and then also at a government, at a country level, and then comparing it. And I think that's going to provide incredibly valuable insights when it comes to ethics, reputation management within specifically the public relations field, of being able to use that as a guide, especially with all the crisis situations that we've had, especially with the fake news and alternative facts that are out there these days.
Yeah, and surely we cannot escape the fact that last year the role of PR firms were negatively reflected in the spotlight due to the Bell Pottinger scandal. I'm sure this will, come out of the conference as well as one of the issues on the agenda.
Absolutely. So one of the key, the conference theme is actually representing Africa and taking back the narrative and going back to what does it mean to be an ethical public relations practitioner. So that is definitely, and that's why this research is so important, to be able to make strategic decisions when it comes to the field, is to then base it on research that we are conducting.
Yeah. So the theme, as you said, Regine, that it's representing Africa. How can we as Africans sort of represent our own narrative?
We do need to take it back. I think very often other people are creating that narrative, that dialogue on our behalf. And as Africans, we do need to take back that space. And part of this in conducting the research, and that's also why we're asking all leaders, all public relations practitioners, everyone in the communication space to please complete the survey so that we can actually use this as a base to determine what is the best way forward, where are the major gaps, how do we take that space back. So we are asking everybody to complete the survey, which is available on the APRA website, which is apra.org, or on the Reputation Matters website as well, so reputationmatters.co.za, where the survey can be completed. And ideally, if we can have it about 500 people completing it, this will give us, obviously we need as many people to answer as possible, but this will give us quite a good base and data to work with. So the more data we have, the more we can actually get results and have a lot more to analyze, which is going to give us a great baseline to start off with.
All right. Are you perhaps working with some public relations institute, like here at home we have PRISA? Are you working hand in hand with them in terms of consolidating response?
We are working with our networks throughout Africa as well, and then other public relations institutions, association. Obviously, APRA, the African Public Relations Association, is the key one that we are working with. And we're asking all our strategic alliances, institutions, associations to help us get this survey out there so that we can maximize the amount of people that are taking and participating in this survey for us.
All right. Now, lastly, what do you think should be the role of African PR agencies in building an ethical representation of Africa? Are they really doing it enough? Are they able to sell their own stories, their own African stories sufficiently so?
I think that there's quite a lot still that can be done, many lessons that can be learned. And that's why these conferences, such as the one, or the APRA one, happening from the 9th to the 11th of May this year in Botswana, where we share lessons, we share best practices, are so important because we can learn so much from each other. So it's a continual learning process, and we can most definitely enhance the current public relations industry.
All right, Regine, we have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming through. So I believe our viewers can go onto your website to participate in the survey. All right, we seem to have lost Regine there, but thank you so much to Regine Le Roux, who's the Managing Director of Reputation Matters, talking to us about the African Public Relations Association's call, of course, on the public to participate in its survey on ethics and reputation spanning the entire African continent. So you can log on to their website, www.apra.org, for that particular survey. All right, we're taking a quick